Hello, I'm Michael.
I'm Sally, and this is Wrestle MSX.
Cody Rhodes starts us off by welcoming Michael Cole back to SmackDown, and then extends an invite to the Bloodline, who are of course waiting in the wings. They do not disappoint as they then make their way out. Solo, tailed by Loa, Tonga and Fatu. Sikoa gets in the ring and tells Cody he could have been champion at SummerSlam if it wasn't for Roman Reigns. Cody then says he deserves a title shot, but only he's not talking to Solo, he's looking through him at Jacob Fatu, who's standing behind Solo on the outside. Fatu approaches the ring and gets on the apron, Sikoa turning round and look at him. Fatu then declares his devotion to Solo and then returns to his original position outside the ring. One day I may be looking up at the lights, courtesy of that iron thumb of yours, but it won't be next week, Cody tells Solo. Solo then replies, "You want me next week? Then you're on." Well, no, he didn't say that, Solo, but let's get on with it anyway. Solo goes on to say that they don't have to wait until next week, so the mics are dropped, the waistcoat removed and the Bloodline enter the ring. It's not looking good for Cody, but wait! Behind him, in slide DIY and the Street Profits. But just as it's about to kick off, Nick Aldis appears and stops them. He makes an 8-man tag match for later, Bloodline versus DIY and the Street Profits. Aldis then goes on to make a title match for next week. Cody Rhodes will be defending his undisputed WWE Championship against Solo Sikoa in a steel cage. Should be one to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. Something a little more light-hearted now.
Oh, that's what we need. It's getting a bit too serious.
As we see Pretty Deadly discussing their musical premiere with Tiffany Stratton. Nia Jax then appears saying to Stratton that the locker room seems to think you were going to cash in on me last week.
She was.
Stratton denies this, blaming Chelsea Green.
It's always that Chelsea Green, isn't it?
Stratton then asks Jax if she'll be in her corner tonight when she faces off against Bayley. "Of course I will," replies Jax. "I'll help you like you helped me last week."
Next up is that match, Tiffany Stratton against Bayley. It was pretty even to begin with a highlight, a basement dropkick on Bayley when she was on the apron. Back from the break and we're told that Stratton was in control during the commercials, but that doesn't stop Bayley taking it to Stratton, working her over and then hitting her with a top rope elbow and getting a 2 count. Nia Jax then heads out, distracting Bayley, which in turn allows Stratton to hit Bayley with an Alabama slam, getting a 2 count off it. A Bayley to belly takes it out of both women, with Bayley recovering first and diving through the ropes onto Jax. As Bayley slides back into the ring after attacking Jax, Stratton gets her in a backslide pin. As she does though, Jax gets on the apron to complain to the referee, in turn distracting her. Stratton has Bayley pinned for at least a 5 count, but by the time the referee sees what's happening, only manages a 2 count. Stratton then gets Rose planted and pinned by Bayley to pick up the win.
Backstage, we see Kevin Owens testing Austin Theory and Grayson Waller's friendship after they questioned his with Cody Rhodes by organising a triple threat match between the 3 of them for later.
Back from the break and we see Legado del Fantasma saying that SmackDown is bound to be their turf. They only won one last week. Now it's theirs.
Next, the return we've all been waiting for. Giovanni Vinci, who's facing off against Apollo Crews. We saw Vinci arrive earlier in a Mercedes. They seem to be pushing the fact that he's Italian. I like it.
Yeah,
good.
that he is
Don't
Italian.
mind.
He is actually from Italy. No problem at all.
But he pulls up in a German car. I mean, if you can't find a Ferrari or a Lamborghini for him, then maybe even a Fiat. They could get hold of one of those, surely.
You'd have thought so. Because all the vignettes have been of him driving a Ferrari.
Yeah, Flash.
And then he turns up in a Merc.
Anyway, to the match. Vinci, with his back to Crews, takes his jacket off as the bell rings. Crews goes straight for a crucifix pin and gets the 3 count. Absolutely fantastic start to Gio's new gimmick. Love
Well
it.
done, lads. Backstage and we see Chelsea Green talking with Nick Aldis when Michin walks in. After some trash talk between the 2 of them, Aldis decides to make a match between Green and Michin for later.
Next up, Kevin Owens versus Austin Theory versus Grayson Waller. A-Town Down Under coming out together. The match started with Owens throwing both members out of the ring and hitting them with a cannonball from the apron. Waller decided to set up a table, but ended up getting powerbombed through it moments later. Back from the break, and we're back in the ring with Owens beating up Theory with a senton, corner cannonball, and swanton. He goes for the cover, but he gets broken up by Grayson on 2. Waller then softens Owens up before Theory hits a rolling blockbuster on him and goes for the cover. Waller drags him off. The A-Town Down Under boys argue, come to their senses, and then decide to set Owens up for a double superplex from the top rope. Owens fights them off, but Theory goes back up to Owens, who's still on the top turnbuckle. Big mistake, as Owens hits Theory with a rolling senton back down to the mat. Owens goes for the cover, but Waller saves his buddy. Now it's Waller's turn. He puts Owens back on the top rope, only to suffer a similar fate to his tag partner. As Waller's about to do whatever he's about to do, Owens hits him with a fisherman's buster and then covers him. Theory breaks the cover at 2. Waller then gets knocked off the apron, allowing Owens to hit Theory with a stunner, cover him and pick up the win.
May I just say that Theory sold the stunner amazingly well. If you can look at it, or you have done, I think it's amazing. Because when he fell back down to the mat from the move, he landed right next to Owens with his legs already up and in the air. So all Owens had to do was roll onto him and hook his leg. I think it was brilliant. The way
was good.
Amazing.
After the bell, A-Town Down Under beat Owens up. Theory hitting him with an A-Town Down and then Waller hitting a rolling flatliner, leaving KO KO'd. Should have done that during the match, boys.
But just one thing here, though. I get the booking Owens to look strong. And I'm sure they could have pulled out a couple of jobbers for Owens to beat on.
Easily.
But for him to beat the former tag champions in essentially a 2-on-1, for me, was a little bit much. Theory and Waller didn't even trade blows. Nothing at all. And I get Waller and Theory just about keeping it together, but they could have pinned him at the same time. I'm sure that's been done before, as they couldn't agree who should cover him, or if they don't want, if they didn't want them to win, get someone to come out to help Owens. Because they even stated during commentary that a triple threat is a no DQ match.
Yeah.
So somebody coming to help Owens
could have helped.
wouldn't have been a problem.
No.
But for him to beat them two, individually, Owens will beat them. I get that.
Yeah.
Like if it was Big Show against them two, no problem. But Owens is a similar sort of size, and it was basically a 2-on-1.
Yeah.
For me, it was a bit much for Owens to beat both of them. But that's just me. Anyway, LA Knight is out next, saying he's had 2 successful title defences when he gets interrupted by Carmelo Hayes. Hayes tells him he has to worry about him because he's next in line. Hayes then gets interrupted by Andrade. Andrade challenges Knight, Hayes attacks Andrade, but Andrade gets the upper hand before Knight delivers a BFT to him. Hayes then gloats over the downed Andrade, but not to leave anyone out, Knight hits Hayes with his own blunt force trauma before leaving the ring.
We then see A-Town Down Under asking Nick Aldis for a tag match against Kevin Owens and anyone he can find for next week.
But they didn't even beat him on his own.
Aldis agrees. I'm guessing it's going to be some kind of legend. It's the premiere of SmackDown on the USA Network, so they're going to roll someone out for that, aren't they?
I don't know where it is. Will it be Austin? It won't be The Rock. I don't think it won't be Under Kane. I don't know.
No,
but it's going to be somebody. Isn't it? It's going to be somebody.
Yes.
HBK. Coming at you. Back in the ring, we have Chelsea Green with Piper Niven against Michin. Green works over Michin's ribs that still hurt from last week's street fight with Jax. Green goes for the unpretty her, but Michin pushes her away. Green ending up outside the ring. Michin dives through the ropes, lands on Green, and then throws her back into the ring. As Michin gets on the apron to re-enter the ring, Green kicks her off, sending her back to the outside. The referee then reprimands Green, and with the official's back turned, Niven hits Michin with a floating senton. Niven then throws Michin back into the ring for the awaiting Green to hit her with an unpretty her and pick up the win, which is unusual for Green to win.
Very unusual, yeah. Last match of the night, an 8-man tag. DIY and the Street Profits versus the Bloodline. All 8 men started in the ring before things calmed down with Angelo Dawkins and Tangaloa starting the match. Dawkins soon tagged in Ford, who carried the punishment for Loa, before Loa got a break and tagged in Tonga. Tonga doesn't last long as Solo and Loa, reintroduced, then send Ciampa over the announcer's table. Back from the break, and the Bloodline are keeping Ciampa from his corner.
Clever.
Until he breaks free, tagging in both Dawkins and Gargano, who then both enter the ring and beat up Solo. Dawkins tags Ciampa back in, who eats a spinning Solo. Solo gets a 2 count cover off of it. Luckily for Ciampa, everyone ends up fighting on the floor as he hits a superplex on Tama Tonga to the outside, landing on the rest of the strategically placed wrestlers.
Ow, if it would be better if they weren't there, just super
I mean, that would look amazing, yeah.
Oof, ouchie.
Ciampa heads back into the ring, tagged Ford in, who then hits a 450 on Tonga. Fatu breaking up the following pin attempt. Fatu drags the spent Tonga over to their corner and tags himself in. Fatu then dispatches Gargano with a super kick, Dawkins with a pop-up Samoan drop, and Ciampa with another super kick, before hitting Ford, the legal man, with an Impaler DDT.
Should have just been 4-on-1.
Yeah. Solo, now back in his corner, holds his hand out for the tag. Fatu obliges. Sikoa delivers 2 Samoan spikes to Ford before covering him for the win. SmackDown goes off the air, as is now customary for the final time on Fox, with the Bloodline acknowledging.
I mean, not sure about the triple threat match bit, 2-on-1,
yeah.
but I enjoyed the Green and Michin match.
Yeah.
Makes a change for her to win.
Yeah, good. Does, yeah.
And of course the Geo match. It's always funny to see someone come back and get beat within 5 seconds of the match starting. Anyway, thank you again for watching.
And we'll see you Tuesday for our look at Raw.